Hello students, so we are back with the menstrual cycle, and in this module we are going to be studying the follicular phase, and let's see what is happening exactly in this phase. Now there are 4 phases as we have already studied in the introductory module of menstrual cycle. Now among these 4 phases, students, right now we are going to be taking care of the second phase, which is the follicular phase, also known as proliferative phase. Now let's see, this is the diagram of ovary you have already studied, and we have already in previous module completed the menstrual phase. So the next phase which comes in line is the follicular phase. So you see all these changes which are happening right up to the Graafian follicle formation. These events or changes are included in the follicular phase, students. Now talking about follicular phase, what are the days or which hormone controls this phase? Let's see. Follicle stimulating hormone naturally from pituitary controls this entire phase of menstrual cycle, students. Now follicular phase or proliferative phase, it is from the pituitary controlled by FSH, and the days it extends is from 5th to 13th day. Remember students, 1st to 4th day is the menstrual phase. So next is 5th to 13th day. We never overlap the days during this phase. So which hormone here? FSH from pituitary, we have already mentioned. Follicle stimulating hormone from pituitary is controlling this phase. Now here in students we see follicles start maturing. You can see all of these follicles, they start maturing and start releasing a hormone called estrogen, a very important hormone for females. Now almost all these follicles, they degenerate, but one only survives and matures further. And which is that one follicle? That is the Graafian follicle we talk about. Only one follicle matures and forms the Graafian follicle. Also remembering students, all these follicles which degenerated, that process is known as atresia. We say there is mass atresia taking place in ovary because so many follicles are degenerating, but one remains. Which one? That's the Graafian follicle. Now Graafian follicle, students, we have already done the structure of it. If we remember, the membrane, the outer membrane, theca interna of Graafian follicle, a very important layer, that starts now releasing the hormone estrogen. So theca interna starts producing estrogen. This is happening somewhat around 12th day of the menstrual cycle, when estrogen level in a woman's body is highest in her entire menstrual cycle, and that's because of which layer of Graafian follicle? Theca interna. So theca interna releases loads of estrogen. We say surge of estrogen happens, and this estrogen goes to the blood, and estrogen level in the blood go higher. And one very important aspect of this is the endometrial lining of uterus, which had eroded during the menstrual phase earlier, students, it now starts repairing under the influence of which hormone? We are talking about this hormone, estrogen. So endometrium repairs. It becomes 3 to 5 millimeter thick, which was earlier just 1 millimeter thick during the menstrual phase. So that means now the repair of endometrium has begun. And which hormone is responsible for it? Estrogen starts repairing endometrium. Now students, we talked about the follicle which matured in this phase, Graafian follicle. The structure is this, and we have already done the structure of Graafian follicle, students, in the previous module. So herein we completed the follicular phase or proliferative phase. We are still continuing with the menstrual cycle in the next phase. Till then, take care.